registration process, you know, the speakers, the quality, the sounds, the light, the audio, the recordings are going to be spectacular. It's all about leveling up everything that we're doing and taking things to the next level. The best way that I know how to do that is to lead by example in my own life, even when it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, to level up and to do my best to continue to do that. To lead by example, to inspire you to also figure out what you can do to level up your life. Now, that doesn't mean you got to go wear a suit or sport coat or dress up. It just means, what if you looked at all the elements of your life and you said, where can I improve? You know, Tony Robbins says, constant and never-ending improvement. C-A-N-I, can I? Constant and never-ending improvement. And that's what I believe in. I believe every single day that we can go out, and all it is us trying to best ourselves, best the other self, you know, last week's self, a month before, trying to best ourselves. Just go out there and say, how can I get better and keep improving? Because success is not a destination, success is a journey that we are on. And as long as you are constantly improving, then you will always feel like you're celebrating wins and victories along the way. And that's what we're doing here. So, I've got a talk that I want to share with you today before we get into a lot of the nuts and the bolts. Before we get into a lot of the specifics and sharing my screen and doing things, I wanted to talk with you about some principles. Some literal principles that I've had for years, many of these for over a decade, that have helped me to be successful. And when I get asked to travel and speak to masterminds, recently I get asked to come out and speak to a mastermind where members of that mastermind spent anywhere between $20,000 to even $50,000 to be in attendance. The number one talk everybody wanted me to speak about was something called Gamify Life. And what it is, it's a series of principles that I can share with you about how to be able to make life fun, how to be able to gamify life, how to take everything to the next level. We're going to call it leveling up. And that's what I want to talk about. We're going to share some principles. So I've got a PowerPoint presentation. Let's go ahead and pull that up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the PowerPoint presentation. I might be clicking it. I think I got to go get the clicker. We're going to walk through and I'm going to show things briefly on the screen when I do take notes. And then I'm going to kind of come back to me and speak as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about gamifying life. So our first topic is going to be, what is gamify life? What does that mean? Life can be stressful. Life can be overwhelming. Life can be difficult. I remember getting hit around 2012, 2013. I remember getting hit with just a massive amount of things going wrong in life at that moment. We had a beautiful baby born. That's something to celebrate, right? In 2012, I had my second child, but at the same time, my first child, who was then 2 years old, Reston, he got diagnosed with autism. And I remember that shook me up. I mean, severe autism, meaning he lost his ability to be able to look me in the eyes. He lost his speech. He lost his ability to be able to talk to me, be able to talk any words at all. And you know, as a parent, your firstborn child at 2 years old is just learning all these words. It's one of the most exciting times as a parent. He lost those words. So he lost his social skills. He lost his ability to play with other kids. He just wanted to kind of sit there in his own little world and play, and I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I was nervous. And what I did was I pulled back, and I just thought, anything I can do right now to be able to help my son. I was thankful that we actually caught it early on and we identified that it was there. And I just went to work for about 9 months researching, studying, figuring out anything I could do to be able to help out my son. Well, that was devastating. But at the same time, we also had a newborn at the same time, right? Then on top of that, my wife, ex-wife now, we ended up, see, life gets crazy, right? That marriage didn't even end up working out. We ended up, her father passed away of cancer. Same time. And then on top of that, her cousin, who was only around 30 years old, she died. All of this just started happening. I went to my boss. Believe it or not, I was working at a job as a chief internet officer for a company, and I was getting paid a salary, and I was basically a stay-at-home dad, work-from-home dad, getting a base salary, nothing too fancy. And at the time, I went to my employer, and I said, you know what, I'm working like 80 hours a week. I need to scale back to about 40 hours per week, so I could really focus on my son's autism. I said, that's the reason. My son has been diagnosed with autism. That employer said, that won't work. You're the chief internet officer. You have way too many responsibilities. You're needed as an executive in the company. You have stock in the company. We need your full focus on this. He said, if you want to walk, you walk, but you lose your stock. So then I had $1 million in stock options on the table, or sit there and focus on my son's health. So I walked from the job. We ended up parting ways. It wasn't even nice. That wasn't a nice split. They needed me. I couldn't make it work. So between losing and actually getting into like a legal battle over the stock as well. So between facing legal issues, between family members dying, between the son getting diagnosed with autism, between I couldn't focus anymore, my income started dwindling down to almost nothing. That happens. So why am I talking about this? What does it have to do with business? I learned that all of us are going through some kind of struggle, almost all the time. And if you focus on these struggles, if you focus on these things, they will crush you. They will smash you. They will derail you. They will cause you to lose your focus. They will cause you to lose your ambition. You will sleep in. You'll sit around and watch movies and Netflix and TV series, and you'll get out of shape. And these things will happen, and a year will go by, and you'll say, what the heck happened? I know, I've been through it. And then you're like, finally, you're remotivated again. Okay, let's do it again. But life is going to go through cycles, and you're going to get hit with more of them. So what I learned is that these obstacles and these devastations, they're inevitable. They're going to keep happening. So I thought, man, I wish this life was just more fun. I wish like all the time, every single day, it used to be fun. What's fun? Games are fun. When I play games, are fun. Whether it's, video games, sports games, card games, board games, any kind of games are fun. And I kind of started really getting this principle together called gamify life. I thought, what if I took all of these areas in my life and I basically learned to have fun instead of treating it like work? What if they were all fun? What if I took my business life and I treated it like a game where I wanted to level up? So I want to get to level 10, which is maybe a millionaire. And I know I'm not going to get there overnight, and I'm maybe at level 2, making $5,000 a month or $3,000 a month. How can I get to level 10? So what I did was I started having fun. In my business life, I set up levels. How can I go from level 2 to 3 to 4 to 5? And what I realized was the process of kind of gamifying the experience for me, getting levels, creating rewards, that revolutionized the way that I looked at everything, not just business. The way that I looked at health and fitness. Even recently, I got getting in some of the best shape of my life every single day, staying committed to fitness, staying committed to eating well, and because I'm leveling up. Even dress attire, trying to level up, just doing things different. Our events, leveling up our events. If you've been to my events before, this is a significant improvement, right? So I started looking at all these areas, whether it's your spiritual life, your family life, the quality time you spend with your children, your financial life, whether it's, the things you own, the places you travel, the person you want to be. Whatever it is, you start figuring out where you're at, where you want to go, and create a system of levels that you can level up along the way. What happens is, this is the big mistake we all make. The big mistake we make is we set a huge goal. It's not really a mistake. Big goals are good. We set a huge goal, and it's out of reach, and it feels so kind of distant that you do nothing, and you're okay with that. Instead, you set little small goals leading to that big goal, and now you can hold yourself accountable to a very basic small goal. Now, you've all heard this, little tiny goals to the big goal, but treat it like a game. Treat it like you're leveling up. Instead of goals, call them levels. And you've got your level 10 or whatever. This is where you want to be. Level 10, what does it look like? Maybe, you're living in a certain city, in a certain type of home. How many square feet is it? What kind of car do you drive? Do you see yourself single or married or children or whatever it is? What kind of quality time do you have? What does that life look like? Just whatever it is. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what do you want to have? You visualize that level 10 life for you. And then you start working backwards and figure out, what is it going to take? What baby steps can I take to get there that I can measure along the way? Put yourself at level 1, and then gamify, level up, and get there. That's the key. When you do that, it becomes fun. When you do that, these little small goals become achievable, and they don't become so distant that you don't commit to them. That's the key. Everything in your life start leveling up. The assignment you should have is literally to take, whether it's your faith, your family, your friendships, your fitness, your finances, your travel, your health, your wealth, your assets, your investments, anything that you care to improve in your life. Like Tony Robbins says, constant and never-ending improvement. If you have a desire to improve something, I challenge you to apply levels to it. Change goals into levels and level up. And create some fun. What reward do you get when you beat that level? You know what I'm saying? Gamify it. Have fun. Get some friends in on the game. A little accountability group. Let's level up together. Now you've got accountability partners, other players. Everybody's leveling up. It's an exciting concept. So let me give you some tangible, real-life examples of the Gamify life principle. I've been a night owl almost my entire life. In fact, I've been known to still be up when most of you are waking up, you know? Still up the night before. So everybody's like, oh man, I'm grinding, I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm like, I'm up at 5 a.m. too, just getting ready to go to bed, right? So at some certain point I said, I want to level up. One of the big things I said is I want to see what happens in my life. Oh, by the way, side note, you should always be experimenting. When I talk about the word experimenting, come back to this. You should always be experimenting. What I'm not doing, I'm not making lifelong commitments to things. I'm simply experimenting for like 30 days at a time to see how it goes. I'm always experimenting, right? Like for example, sport coat, dress shirt, this and that. I'm more of like this kid that would always be flip-flops and shorts, tank top, whatever. But I'm experimenting to see how it goes. We're experimenting with the events like this. You're constantly experimenting to figure out what you really love and what you get passionate about. People ask me all the time, what are you passionate about? Well, people ask me, what am I passionate about? You know, I'm experimenting. I'm experimenting to find out what gives me passion. If anybody right now doesn't have a clear vision of exactly what drives you every single day, experiment and find out. Go serve at a charity. Go find one. It doesn't matter what it is. Go do something. See if that inspires you. And it's okay if it doesn't. Don't feel like society's pressuring you into thinking, oh, I have to be super cause-driven or I'm not a good ethical person. Go experiment and see what it's like. Maybe what drives you is time freedom, traveling. Go experiment. How do you know? Maybe you're the kind of person that says, oh, money doesn't motivate me. Well, then find something that money can buy that would motivate you. That'll help drive you. Maybe nice cars don't motivate you. Well, how do you know? Go drive one, see. Experiment. So what happens is, I experiment with all these things to figure out what I want to do. So I came up with an experiment that I want to see if I can turn from a night owl to a morning eagle. Literally. I should say morning sun falcon, huh? The sun falcon analogy. So many people hit me up in the hallways. They're like, sun falcon, can I take a picture? It's like, I'm not used to reacting to the name, so it throws me off. So listen, I decided, you know what? I want to be committed to being, waking up early in the morning. So here's what I did. I read a book. First thing I did was knowledge. A lot of you think, you don't need knowledge to wake up. It's called an alarm clock. You set it, you wake up. No, my whole life I'm trained to do one thing. I'm going to experiment and do something else. I need knowledge. Knowledge is vital. So I read a book by an author. His name is Hal Elrod. The book is called The Miracle Morning. So you guys know that book? I read a book called The Miracle Morning, and then I listened to the audio book as well. And then I actually read some blog posts. I went into about a day of deep research on the Miracle Morning. They have this thing called the Lifesavers. It's an acronym. For every single morning you do Savers, S-A-V-E-R-S. Actually, I'll give it to you real quick if you want them. If you want to write down Savers as an acronym, I'll give it to you and see if, just as a side note, I would have done a slide. Didn't know I was going to talk about that specifically. The S stands for silence. So you go through a brief period of silence. Could be a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It all depends on how much time you even have in the morning to do something. The time is extended or collapsible. Time is irrelevant. You just take at least a moment of silence. Now that you can replace it like I do stretching as the S. So after that, that's the S in savers. The A is affirmations. Affirmations are critical. What I do as an entrepreneur is I rewrite a new set of affirmations every Sunday, and then that's my affirmations for the week, because I'm always experimenting and figuring out where my vision goes. So I'm always writing a set of affirmations. You know, affirmations are pretty personal to you, but you say them just as if just affirming what it is you want. I go for the principle of be, do, have. So on my affirmations, I put the word be in one column, do in another column, and have in another column. And I just write down a few things, and then I basically express them as though those are going to come true. This event right here, can't tell you how many countless affirmations I've had leading up to this event. Speaking on stage, cannot tell you how many countless affirmations I've had leading up to even speaking on stage. Okay? I'm a believer in affirmations, not in a hokey way, just in essentially, you're just speaking out loud what you want to happen, and you're just working on believing it. The V, S-A-V, is for visualizations. Now you're visualizing. Many of you have probably heard of like a dream board, something like that. The key is essentially, it's not that you have to do this thing and go, okay, you know, I'm not going to put a picture of a car on my wall or whatever. You could just keep it simple. You could visualize that day. What do you want? How do you want the day to go? You know, this morning when I went through my savers, the first thing I did with visualizations this morning was I imagined myself walking out of that curtain, walking on stage, and entering into my power circle. You guys might need to see the recording for that. You probably didn't notice that. You walk into a power circle, you plant in the power circle, you take a second, you saw me open up my arms, and then what I did was that was an anchoring technique. The red power circle. You visualize circle, you stand in it, you anchor, and I've already spent, when nobody was in here, I already spent like 20 minutes anchoring a red circle so that the moment I step into it, I'm at a zen-like state, I'm speaking on stage, and that gets rid of the butterflies in my stomach and everything like that. That's a process I use to get over the fear of public speaking and to be confident with you like you're all, just friends. So that visualization process, I visualized that up in my room before I ever even came out here on stage. And people go, oh wow, Chris, your speaking's been improving lately. You seem very confident. You seem easy with that. It's hours and hours of months and months and months of visualization exercises. I'm telling you, it's cool stuff. So you go through the stretching, then you go through your affirmations, then you go through your visualizations. Okay, S-A-V. The E is exercise. Every single day, doing something to get your blood flowing, doing something to get your energy pumped. Being the best you. And the best you should also be being a fit you so you can experience the longevity of life. Getting in the best health you possibly can. Just doing your best to treat your body like a temple. And that's the exercise. And the exercise can be brief. It might be something as simple as some push-ups and sit-ups. Or it might be something as simple as I'm going to do a walk. Instead of driving to the store and getting a coffee, I'm going to walk there. Whatever it might be. So you go through exercise. So that's S-A-V-E. The R is for reading. Every single morning I go through reading. You guys might think I'm nuts with my way that I read books, but I set a timer on my phone when I read. And I set it normally for 15 minutes, sometimes for 20 or 30 minutes. It's going to be based on how busy my day is going to be and what time I woke up, stuff like that. But what I'll do is I'll set a timer for 15 minutes, and I go through a gamified exercise of books. Totally gamified. It's incredible. I used to buy books, begin to read them, set them on my nightstand, and actually never finish a book. And then days on end would go by where I'd glance that book and never start a new one, and it would take me a month to finish a book. And I would say, oh, I'm justifying, I read blogs and internet and web posts all day long, so I'm getting and reading. I had this weird justification. Then I thought to myself, I'm never finishing these books anyways. What if I applied a game to it? I'm going to pull out a book, I'm going to set a timer, and I've got 15 minutes to extract as much information out of this book as I can before the timer goes off. It's a total game. And what happened was, in 15 minutes, I learned through practice how to extract more out of that book than I would get by reading it over the course of a week or a month. 90% of the principles could be found in 15 minutes. The other 10% of your time takes hours and hours and hours just piecing it all together. So what I would do is I would spend 15 minutes extracting things out of a book, and then I would spend another 15 minutes on the final S-A-V-E-R-S, savers, which is called scribing, which is another word for writing. Now I would spend another 15 minutes writing. Literally just writing down the notes and the summary of what I learned. Or writing down a journal. I like the idea of documenting your life. Document your life. The idea of documenting your life is when you begin to go through this process of having a vision for where you're going to go, and you start to see it crystal clear because of your affirmations and your visualizations, what's going to happen is you're going to have this crystal clear vision, and you're going to be living in that vision all throughout the day, even though you're down here at level 1. You're going to be living at that level 10 vision. So what's exciting is when you truly wake up one day and you believe with every fiber in your body you will get to your level 10, whatever it is, then why not document the journey? Why not take videos and pictures and journal and get as much notes as you can, because you're going to be living at level 10. How cool is it going to be to have a documentation of your journey there? One day you might want to write a book. That might be part of your level 10, is to be a published author or a best-selling author. Well, how cool is it going to be if you know one day you're going to be a best-selling author? I'm going to document the journey so that when somebody helps me write my book, I've got all the information, I've got the notes. Here's where I was in October 2016, and this is where I was at in my life, and this is the thing that happened. It's as simple. Many of you are writing a journal, but it's a little bit different. You're essentially writing a biography, like a document of your life. And what I love to do is I love to start by writing notes. When I'm reading, I love to jot down notes. When I'm reading for 15 minutes, I'm jotting down notes. When I get that notes and summary, then I kind of jot down what I did from the previous day. What are some cool things that I did? What am I looking forward to doing? Where am I at? So I can flip back weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and I can go, wow, I can't believe at this moment here, in January of 2016, I documented that I had a conversation with Peter Sorensen about this idea of the Internet Marketing College and saying, I think I'm ready to pursue this. And there's this moment that's documented in a journal. Imagine yourself at level 10, and then with hindsight, look back. How many people in here, raise your hands if you've ever heard the term, hindsight is 2020. Is that pretty common?
Yeah.
Okay. So, foresight, vision's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to predict the future. It's a lot easier to see the past. The process that I'm taking you through of visualizations, affirmations, and living in that level 10 mindset, you're essentially putting yourself in the future. And then looking back with hindsight, what it took to get there. See, hindsight is 2020. You're gonna have far more accuracy looking back at what it took to get there. So this is the exercise. Create a level 10 for yourself. What does it look like in the most extreme detail as possible? And put yourself there. And then look back to where you are at level 1 and say, what steps need to happen to get here? Hindsight is 2020, so why not use that to your advantage? Why not set your goals using hindsight? Why not set your levels using hindsight? Here's where I want to be. So what does level 9 look like? What does level 8 look like? Level 7, level 6, what does it look like? It's hindsight, it's easier, it's more of a predictive model. And all of this daily reading, it's going to help give you knowledge and wisdom, and it's going to give you confidence, and it's going to give you assets that never can be taken from you. You might lose money, but you've still got the wisdom. And that wisdom, you can rebuild yourself. It's the smartest thing. So what happens is, you go through these exercises in the morning, silence and stretching. And then you go through your affirmations, your visualizations, your exercise, your reading, and your scribing. That can all be done inside of 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, or an hour, of whatever time you have. And what Hal Elrod does in that book is he talks about the experience, literally the experience, of being able to get more done, more productive things in your day done before 8 a.m. than the average person out there. When the average person just waking up and just getting started, you've already just literally crushed the day. And that was the experiment I went on. And that journey that I went on completely revolutionized everything that I do. Becoming a morning person. Getting so much done that literally at 7 a.m. you could go catch me out at the car wash, get in the car wash, because I've already worked out, I've already had breakfast, I've already gone through all of my morning routines, I'm already dressed, I'm already ready for the day, conquering the day. First person in the car wash, the car gets washed really quick, talking to all the guys there, then cruising out, getting in and start doing all these things, and it's like, wow, by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, I could stop for the day. Because it's already so effective. But I don't, because I've got that big vision, and that's going to advance you so much further. So my goal in that talk, in that section, was not to inspire you to wake up at 5 a.m. That's just an experiment. You may like it, you may not. But here's what I did. I gamified that process. This is what I did, and it sounds crazy. Instead of setting an alarm clock right by my bed, when I set that 5 o'clock alarm clock by my bed, here's what I do. Wake up, reach over like this, and try to find an instant way to be able to snooze it or silence it, and then I wake up at 8 instead, right? So it just doesn't work. Here's what I did instead. And this is how you gamify the process. I created a level 10 for my health and fitness and for my sleep schedule and for everything I'm doing. There's a level 10. And I created the levels back here. I am level 1. I stay up till 5 a.m. instead of waking up at 5 a.m., okay? I'm a mess. I'm level 1. What does level 2 look like? So I created a level 2 and said, let me see if I can graduate and beat level 2. So check out what it was. Level 2, my rules for level 2, my rules and reward. My rules were, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning no matter what. No matter what. I'm going to do that by putting an alarm clock in my bathroom. I have to get up then, a loud one too. You go on Amazon, you get some loud alarms, right? I have to go in and turn it off. Now here's my set rules. Basic level 2, not level 10. Level 10 is like you bounce out of bed, like Anthony Robbins, full of energy. You go to your cryotherapy chamber. You're like, by the time the sun's breaking, you're already like on the news and traveling in a jet and all that stuff. There's level 10. Level 1 is like, I'm putting an alarm clock in the bathroom. It's loud. I have to go. So here's rules I set. Gamify. I'm going to turn it off. I am not allowed back in bed until 5:20. Now here's my rules. At 5:20, I'm allowed to get back in bed and go back to sleep. Simple rule. I'm only committed to 30 days or 2 weeks, whatever it is, whatever the goal is. 2 weeks of every single morning, I'm up at 5, and I go back to bed at 5:20. Why did I do that? Because I knew I needed to start getting my body into a new schedule of this, right? So my rule was, every single day, up at 5, turn off the alarm clock. Now, I set a couple more basic rules. I gotta do something for 20 minutes that I'm gonna be a Walking Dead zombie in 5 in the morning, so it's gotta be effortless. So here's what I told myself I have to do. Step number 1, I have to turn off the alarm clock, and then you start applying rules. Turn off the alarm clock, and then blank, and then blank, and then blank. You create a quick 20-minute habit. Turn off the alarm clock, and then drink a full glass of water or a full bottle of water. That has to happen before I can go back to bed. Now, why did I do that? I did that because, first of all, you're dehydrated after sleeping all night, right? So by drinking that bottle of water, I'm hydrating myself, but also it's a little trick to kind of get my body getting more awake. It's requiring some effort. I have to drink the whole thing of water. Okay? So that's part of the process. Might cause you to use the bathroom. You can also fit in using the bathroom in that time frame. One more rule I created, and then I have to get dressed in gym clothes. Pretty effortless. Shorts, some shoes, some socks, whatever. Have to get dressed in gym clothes, right? So step by step by step. And then, simple. I have to say an affirmation, that's it. Not the whole savers thing. I didn't have to do stretching, I didn't have to do anything. I've just got to say a positive affirmation. It doesn't have to be like a bolstering positive affirmation. It's like, our affirmation is, I'm really looking forward to going back to sleep. But I have to say it. That was it. There's my level 1. Level 1 is like, look, alarm clock in the bathroom, turn it off, then drink water, then get in gym clothes, then do an affirmation. I have something to fill my 20 minutes with, really slowly, by the way. I would 5 minutes in between drinking the water. It would take 10 minutes drinking the water, sitting there like leaning against the wall. And then I get to go back to bed. That's my reward for accomplishing that goal. But there's an optional thing about that reward. I don't have to go back to bed. If I feel like staying up, then I'll stay up. But I don't have to stay up. See, what people do is they set the impossible goal. I just saw a documentary of Anthony Robbins. This guy wakes up at 4:30, does cryotherapy chamber, does all these push-ups, sit-ups, and I just read his whole thing. I am so motivated, I'm going to do that exact same schedule. No, that dude also speaks 18 hours straight at his conferences. You're going to do that same schedule? Right? So, that's level 10. This is what people do wrong. And this is what I'm trying to teach you that works for me, just to gamify it. See where you want to go and then create levels. That's all I'm talking about. This whole morning thing, you could replace it with anything. So then you create these, and then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this. You also have to have an order, okay? When you're playing a game, there's rules, there's instructions, there's an order, there's a process in order to beat it. So that's all you're doing. Wake up at 5, turn off the alarm, drink my water, get my gym clothes, do my affirmation, go back to bed. Optionally, I stay up if I feel like I can conquer the day. Now, what if I stay up until 3 a.m. in the morning? Do I still really go through that silly exercise waking up at 5? What do you think?
Yes.
Yes, because the justification is I was up till 3, so for sure I'm going back to bed at 5:20. But I'm still going to commit to that 20-minute thing because that's my commitment. And that's easy. I can do that. So there you go. Now here's what's amazing. About 75% of the time, I stayed up. How crazy is that? And then you know what happened? I started getting tired at night. It was harder to stay up till 3 a.m. I'm like, my first thing was, wow, I'm getting old. But what was happening was after a couple weeks, I graduated from that, and I said, you know what I'm going to do? Same thing, let me add a couple more things. Okay? Now, instead of 20 minutes, let's make it 30 minutes, and let's add in some stretching. Or let's add in some reading. Hey, all you got to do is simple. 10 minutes in a book, 10 minutes in notes, or whatever. You just add in whatever. I kid you not. My confidence level of being able to actually wake up at 5 a.m. and do everything Hal Elrod was talking about was very, very low. I knew myself. My lifestyle was way too crazy. I knew I couldn't do it. So I baby stepped it. AKA, I leveled up. This gamification process is fun. You give yourself a consequence, you give yourself a reward, and you guys know the definition of integrity, the definition of, really, if you want to get into words like integrity and discipline and honor, you know what it really all comes down to? Making a promise to yourself and keeping it. And that's it. There was nobody there to hold me accountable. I made a promise to myself and kept it. Graduated level 1, graduated level 2. What did level 3 look like? Level 3 looked like, you know what? In the morning when I wake up, I'm going to take a Snapchat at 5, whatever the timestamp is, and I'm going to get in the habit of my followers every single morning. I'm going to actually Snapchat the mornings. So now I'm holding myself accountable to a group of people. And I went and told a few people, like, you know, Jim Piccolo, Michael Hamburger, Peter Sorensen, those kind of people. I said, hey, I'm up every single morning at 5. Now I got to document it. Now it's like, okay, now it's no longer me just making a promise to myself and keeping it. Now I've made the promise to others. Welcome to level 3. I'm still not jumping in a cryotherapy chamber in the morning and doing backflips and stuff. But I'm snapping it. I'm just walk outside, I show what the sun looks like, hey, sunrise, here I am, you know, I'm up, you know, here's a book I'm reading, here's whatever it is, and that's it. And then I did that for a while. And then level 4, you know what eventually happened? It became a habit. And then a couple mornings, I'm like, I need to sleep in. But I woke up at 5 a.m. without an alarm clock, even when I set the alarm clock for 7. Woke up at 5 and thought, so now I'm rested. And it just became a whole new man. Gamify life. Take the same process and gamify all the elements of life. Figure out that level 10 and what it looks like and work your way backwards. This makes life fun. It gives you tangible goals, aka levels. And then you give yourself rewards when you beat them. And then what you've got to realize is that the levels are going to get harder. Exercise, right? I didn't start off, let's take one more example. Exercise. When I started off doing health and fitness, I knew, okay, I hadn't really worked out in a year. It doesn't make sense for me to just go get a gym membership and go get a trainer and go all hardcore every single morning. So I took baby steps. Level 1, what did level 1 look like for me? Again, level 10 is, you know, basically like 6-pack, less than 10% body fat, you know, I put on a bunch of lean muscle, you know, cover GQ magazine, something like that. Never been a goal, but that's interesting. So, I might do that. It's just like this goal. You know, we all have goals or whatever. It's not that you have to. It's not like the goal doesn't have to be that you're some bodybuilder or something. You just set a goal that motivates you. The goal that motivates you might be, you know, hey, you know, I just want to eat better, so eventually I want to get to this point where that's the way that I eat, and all my food's prepped, and all this, or maybe I want to get to the point where I have a private chef who's, you know, really making all this stuff for me, and maybe that's your goal, and you just start here and go, it doesn't make sense for me to get a private chef and invest thousands of dollars in food today, but I'm going to get there. So what I did, I kid you not, is simple. You might think, well, Chris, you could have jumped further. No, beat each level at a time. You don't need to skip levels. Level 1. I got a Fitbit, and I set a goal to be able to walk 5,000 steps a day on my Fitbit, and it was just about getting the steps in. Now, normally just walking around or doing whatever, you're going to get a lot of steps. But what happens is, we often just sit down in a chair and work at a computer and work at a desk all day, and you just don't even realize, you get home, you check your Fitbit, it's like, geez, I didn't really get any exercise today. So the Fitbit was the measurement tool, and I set a goal that I felt I could do, which was 5,000 steps a day. That was level 1. Level 2, after I was able to do that for a couple weeks, 7,500 steps a day. Level 3, 10,000 steps a day. Now you might think that that's hard, but it's not. These are steps. Now unless you have like an injury or something, you might do something in a different way, right? This is what worked for me. So what I mean by that 10,000 step goal, people started saying, dude, you're crazy. You do 10,000 steps a day? Well, here's what happened. I'd get 7,000 steps, and it was 9 p.m. at night. And I knew I had to go to bed by probably like 11 to be able to get some sleep in. So you know what I would do? At my house, I would find an activity like a podcast or a phone call or something like that, and I would walk around my house, literally, until I got my 10,000 steps. I kid you not, I would walk all over my house. I probably get 10,000 steps on the stage, actually. I would walk all over my house, just like this, all over. I'd be doing something else, doing another task at the same time, walk all over my house. That was the key. I did it no matter what. But I didn't start there. Level 1 was 5,000 steps. Level 1 might be 3,000 steps. No matter what, you do 3,000 steps for a whole week. Then the next week you do 4,000 steps. And the next week you create your own levels. Now, after I started doing that, I got to the next level. Level 4, I was like, okay, I'm doing this pretty well. Now, I'm going to add hiking at least once a week. Every single week, I'm going to have even twice a week. Now I'm going to go hiking, and actually, instead of just walking, now I'm actually going to go. The whole hike was 10,000 steps alone. I fit it in. And then it's like, now this other level says, okay, now I've built up a little bit of cardio, a little bit of consistency. Now I feel comfortable to start working out. I didn't work out for about 2 months. Of deciding to get in shape, I didn't start working out for 2 months. All I did was walking. It's crazy. Literally, all I did was walking. Because I gamified it. I created a habit. Now I was ready to exercise, and I noticed I was starting to shed some pounds, because I needed to lose 25 pounds. So I started shedding. Now I incorporated daily push-ups, daily sit-ups. And some of you might go, how many? 20. And that was it. So I kept my walking goal, and I added 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups. Now, why did I use such a low amount? I'm not going to get ripped on 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups. But if I can create the habit where every single morning I do 20 push-ups and 20 sit-ups, then I can graduate to the next level where I do 50 and 50, and the next level where I do 100 and 100, and then the next level I'll add in jump roping, and I'll do 200 skips and 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and the next time I'll do 500 skips, and then the next one, 1,000 skips a day, 100 push-ups, 100 crunches, and then on top of that, add working out. And then get to a trainer. And then get to a point where I'm dieting and I'm focusing on physique and I'm focusing on building certain muscle. Then go into adding lean body mass. And then go into the point where I'm actually setting specific coordinated goals. And then get to the point where now I'm actually getting entire health, documenting my entire health and getting over there. And then get to the point where I'm living and breathing on pure natural energy in a peak state to the level of someone like an Anthony Robbins. But it all starts with just walking 3,000 steps a day to create a commitment, and then graduating to level 10. Is that illustration making sense to anybody here? Yeah. Gamify life. Make life fun again. Because life is going to throw you some curveballs, and a lot of them are going to suck. Okay? People are going to die. People are going to get diagnosed with cancer. Okay? You're going to have a game plan for how your week's going to go, and something dramatic's going to happen, and it's going to completely derail you. Okay? Somebody's going to break your heart. There's somebody that you're going to serve, and you're not going to get respected back for it. There's going to be somebody that serves you, and maybe you don't recognize it, and you hurt somebody else, even if it's unintentionally. Okay? There's going to be things that aren't even directly related to you, but that burn on your heart, and are going to make you feel ill sometimes about the way the world works. Whether that's children dying, or wars, or just pure corruption and greed. And what's going to happen is you got to stay in the face of all of this craziness going out there. If I focus on leveling up myself, then I can put myself in a position where I can make impact and change in this world while I still have breath left in my body. And I can do it on a major scale where we can actually do something powerful, where I can look back and say, this life was absolutely worth it. That's the goal of leveling up. Do you guys like that vision? I want to share with you some principles. Okay? Some of these are teaching principles. Some of these are very specific. That was a segment on Gamify Life. What I want to do is I want to talk to you about some principles, maybe about 5 minutes on each one, and run through these fairly quickly, but also have some fun. Principle number 1 that I want to talk about. Please write these down in your notes, because repetition. Wow, you're getting good. Let's try it again. Repetition is the mother of retention. You want to get to the point where when you see something, you hear something, you write something, and then you say something, then you truly understand and know that something. The reframing principle. Let's discuss this. The reframing principle is essentially a concept of taking these nasty negative things and figuring out a way to look at them with a completely different perspective. On a very simple note, you could say something bad happens to you and you're like, well, some people are homeless. Some people are starving. Some people have it way worse. Okay? That's a very simple explanation of reframing. It's absolutely true. There's always people that have it worse than you. The problem I faced with that reframing was it's disconnected. When I'm talking about other people that I don't really know, I don't feel this explicit connection. Let's talk about reframing in a way that's very personal to you. That will help. When my son was 2 years old, resting, and he got diagnosed with autism, that shook me up. All the things that I felt like I was going to experience with him, I was like, man, I'm going to get him all involved in all these sports, and I'm going to be taking him out, we're going to go golf, we're going to travel, we're going to do all stuff. It's like my firstborn's, just all these visions. And it's like suddenly that path changed to where now it's like a goal. It's like right now my biggest goal with him is by the time he's 18 years old, to get him in a position where he could actually have a job. Or get him in a position where maybe even one day he could meet somebody and fall in love and even live on his own if he wanted to. Creating some of the things we take for granted, getting him to that point. It's going to be a lot of work, but that's the goal. Now, when things shake you up like that, you've got to instantly, the faster you can reframe yourself, the better. This has to happen as fast as you possibly can. Every day that you don't reframe is a lost day of your life, where you're then dwelling in this negative thing that will suck the life right out of you. And I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but it probably will take years off your life, or at least days off your life in the overall long run, because stress can kill you. Okay? My son got diagnosed with autism. At first, it shook me up. But I got to a point to start reframing it. I said, you know what? How blessed am I that here I was, just this go guy, dominant male, strong, vision, My personality type didn't really have a lot of sympathy or empathy. These weren't things that came natural to me. These were things I had to work on. Patience was something I had to work on. I was impatient. And I thought there, I said, whether you're religious or not, or spiritual or not, I use the reference of God in this example, okay? God blessed me with a child that will strengthen my patience, that will strengthen my empathy, that will strengthen my sympathy. It's almost like God was watching me and said, I know what Chris needs a little bit more of. And I looked at that and I reframed it. It's not a curse, it's a blessing. And I thought how blessed am I to have the responsibility to be able to be the one to help, obviously as a mother, friends, family, and everything, to help and assist in this child's life, to be able to help, give him the resources. We were able to bypass the long waiting list of government services because at the time I was making enough money to get private tutoring, private therapy, private stuff, things that I bet a lot of people dream that they had the resources for. We were spending over $5,000 a month on in-home, high-end personal care immediately. How blessed was I that we got early diagnosis? How blessed was I that we found a resource that could come in and help them in the house and be able to give them immediate behavioral therapy, immediate speech therapy, all these things to be able to quickly get at them when his brain was still a sponge. How blessed are we that we get to be the mother and the father of this child, to be able to carry them through this journey? How How thankful am I that I've read all of these books, and I've listened to all these audios, and I've studied all these people, and how grateful am I that I'm focused on gaining knowledge? How grateful was I that I had the time to take 9 months off, to dive in and figure out all the little different techniques that I could do to have my ripple impact on this child. How I started reframing it and said, wow, you know what? A child with autism was the thing I needed most in this world. And when I reframed it like that, I instantly got out of my funk. I thought to myself, I feel empowered and I feel alive. This is an example. How can you take something that can also be the same experience, that can cause you to cry, that can cause you to not want to get out of bed, that can cause you to wonder, why me? That can maybe cause you to curse a God and say, how are you this evil that you would do this to somebody, right? Or whatever it might be. The same feeling that can cause you to do these kind of emotions could also be reframed into the same feeling to say, thank you. Thank you. I'm humbled. I'm honored that I'm chosen. You're going to want to practice this principle because what happens is life is going to throw you curveballs. And those curveballs are either going to knock you off track for an hour, a full day, a full week, a month, maybe some of you a year. Right? I was married for several years, and then we ended up getting divorced despite efforts to fix it. And that divorce threw me into a funk. Literally threw me into a funk. Started drinking more alcohol, started sleeping on a couch in my office, started, literally getting to the point where as we were going through it, started staying in hotels and just going to myself. I was also so embarrassed. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell any family. I didn't want to tell any friends. I thought people would look down on me. I thought everybody would try to get me to fix it, and I was already trying to fix it. I didn't want to hear it. I just secluded myself, and I went through funk. The faster you can figure out a way to reframe it is the faster you get back on track. Life is short. You're going to lose many, many, many hours and days and months and years by not reframing quickly. And I'm fortunate to be able to reframe things. It takes practice. My encouragement to you is this, is that life's going to happen. Focus on reframing. Find ways to see the same thing in a way where somehow you see the blessing in it. Wow, I'm so glad that even though we're divorced, we're not fighting every single day. It's not some nasty divorce where we're cussing each other out and never want to see each other. Wow, I'm so glad that she's okay with the balance that we're doing and she's not fighting for custody of children. We don't have to go through that battle. Wow, that's a blessing. Whatever it is, there's negative things in there, don't get me wrong. You don't get divorced waking up all happy every day. But you learn. And the other thing is, you'll never hear me talk about negative things about that marriage. Because what good does that serve for me to go talking about negative things in life? Really, how does it help me and how does it help you? Maybe as an illustration, but you know what's a better illustration? It's talking about how to find the good, even in a situation so negative. Look, you can connect the dots. You know people don't get divorced when everything's going perfect, right? So you can connect the dots. You don't need to know every detail. You just know, hey, look, life happens and that happened. But you reframe it. How thankful am I that I have a position to be able to make enough money where, imagine if I didn't, she would now be a single mom with a lot of parenting responsibilities, has been out of the workforce for 13 years. Even from when we first met each other, right? For all that time, because all the time, I always made sure she was taken care of. And how thankful am I that I make enough money that I'm able to be able to financially help her through this transition and give her enough time to really be able to get back out there and be able to support her. And it makes good. And then how thankful am I that because of that support, it creates a situation where she's able to take on a lot of the day-to-day responsibilities so that I can also participate in a vision like building and sharing things with you here this weekend. How thankful you find the good. This is the reframing. Whether it's reframing an illness with a child, whether it's reframing a death in the family, whether it's reframing getting hit from all angles with everything. When you learn how to reframe, you learn how to do it quickly. That is going to help you level up. Because you know what can often happen? You get to level 3. And you get beat up too hard on level 3 that you quit the game for a little while. And then when you get back in the game, guess what level you have to start at? Level 1 again. You got to get to a point where you don't quit the game. The only way not to quit the game is that I know, is the reframing principle. Let's keep moving. You've heard this quote, so I'm going to do this one very, very briefly. The next slide I want to say is, instead of saying I can't, say how can I? This is all over the quotes. You've heard me say this a lot, so I'll spend maybe just a minute on it. The idea behind this is simply the fact that you are far more powerful than you give yourself credit for. I want to give you some nevers. Never do this, never do this. Ready? Never say you don't have the money for something. Just never say you don't have the money for something. Don't say I can't afford it. Don't say in a group, we can't afford this. Don't say I would love to, but I can't. Don't say I tried and it didn't work. Don't say things, because what will happen is your mind is so powerful that you'll actually believe yourself. You'll literally believe yourself. I can't wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I've been staying up till 3 a.m. for all my entire life. Or I love being a night owl. Being a night owl is amazing. I just absolutely love it. So, I'd rather be up at night. I used to say things like, I'm far more productive at night. The kids are asleep, there's no noise, there's no distractions, I'm far more productive at night. All of these things were then becoming obstacles to me waking up in the morning. So you learn to figure out that your words are so powerful. They're a double-edged sword. On one hand, you think, I'm not money motivated. But on the other hand, does that statement have some potential negative effects as well? Yeah. I'm not money motivated is an affirmation that leads to not making more money, not being motivated to make more money. Therefore, it leads to an affirmation that somehow money is inherently bad in some way, that that's a bad thing not to have more of, which means that inherently you are going to have a lack of money, and a lack of money is going to potentially cause other problems in your life that are going to spill over, and you're right back to level one. All because of a statement. If you're going to say I'm not money motivated, then at least in that statement, replace it with what you are motivated by. Don't ever say something that's just negative. Replace it with something. For instance, you might say, well, I'm not money motivated. Okay, well, what does motivate you? If you had money, if I gave you $100,000, what would you do with it since you don't want it? Oh, I would do this with it. Okay, so what you're saying is you're motivated to help, children with autism. Okay, would $100,000 be a tool to be able to help children with autism? How many other families do you think would love a service that normally costs $5,000 a month that they can't afford? With $100,000, you could help 20 families be able to get very, very specific help on their children in their home and be able to bless them with their lives. Would that be something that motivates you? Yes? Then don't say I'm not money motivated, because that will lead to you not making money and not ever doing that. Instead, say, you know what motivates me? Helping out parents with autistic children that can't afford proper service. And I've got a goal to be able to bless 20 families with a service that traditionally costs $5,000 a month. That is $100,000 in income. So you know what? I am money motivated, because when I make that extra $100,000, aside from whatever I need to obviously do my stuff, when I make that extra $100,000, that feeling of blessing those families is going to make me feel like that impact alone gives me some self-worth and lets me know I'm doing something good in the world. So yes, I am money motivated to make that $100,000. Let's get to work, let's go do it. You see the difference? Some people think, that being money motivated is a bad thing. And being car motivated is a bad thing, or being whatever motivated is a bad thing. Don't make it a bad thing. Level up. Determine what your life looks like. Get excited about it. It is far more exciting than you know. And you guys, money is not evil in any way whatsoever. Okay? It's the hand that holds it. By use, this is an interesting paradigm shift I want to give you. Money's not evil. Money's a piece of paper. It's the hand that holds it. By you saying that you're not money motivated, or you having a conflict with making more money, you're not having a conflict with more money. You're having a conflict with your own hand. You're having a conflict with your own judgment that you're going to be a good person with money. You need to fix that. If you're having an internal conflict that if money was placed into your hand, that you might not do good with it, if you're feeling that way about you, you need to fix that. That is an internal issue you need to fix immediately. It's the hand that holds it, not the thing that is being held. It is the power that you yield with that responsibility. You've got to fix that internal conflict. Watch the words you use. Instead of saying I can't, say how can I? Open your mind to the possibilities. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide I want to present to you when it shows up on the screen is that success leaves clues, and so does failures. Most people are only modeling success. And what I want to share with you is that you'll be far better off, in my opinion, if you learn how to model failures. Okay? Wisdom comes from two places. Mentors, people that have done something and can then share with you about what they've done. For example, if you want to learn Facebook advertising, find somebody who's successful and they can mentor you. Mentors. And the second place wisdom comes from is mistakes. Wisdom comes from two places, mentorship and mistakes. Okay? Success and failure. And oftentimes you can learn more from failure than you can from success. You get the opportunity to be around somebody successful, you don't ask. I would ask. I would suggest you get this proper line of thinking. Don't ask, what did you do to make your millions or whatever it is? No, you ask them, say, along your way, have you had any failures? I'd love to learn about your failures. What went wrong? Why did it go wrong? What would you have done differently? They probably don't share that as often with people. They'll probably get more excited to be able to share the fact, hey, this hasn't been a perfect paved road. And you'll actually learn more. Like, when you ask, what do you do to be successful? Like, it's determination, it's hard work, it's motivation, you gotta be inspired, you gotta have a big dream. Well, tell me about your failures. Oh, well, we overextended ourselves, and here, let me go specifically. We ended up hiring too fast, we had too many employees, our overhead was a little bit too high, and if I could go back and do it again, what I would have done is I would have created a system to be able to hire smarter, and then I would have hired one person at a time, put them through proper protocol, and built the foundation and scaled up from there. That's one of my biggest life lessons. Suddenly, the advice is far more valuable off of what they did to fail than of what they did to succeed. Success leaves failure, success leaves clues, and so do failures. One of the things that I learned to do as an entrepreneur is to embrace failure. Embrace it. I have yet to meet somebody that I look up to as a mentor in any one of my different areas that hasn't had a series of failures that led them there. So here's the thing. If all of these people have failed, but then all you see is their success, I'm going to go through and find out all about their failures, and I'm going to shortcut my own learning curve. Because if they've made mistakes, I don't have to make those same mistakes. If you're walking through a minefield, and you go on your own, you're gonna get hit by a mine, right? Chances are risky. But if you can follow somebody else's footsteps, now, in order for somebody to successfully navigate that minefield, they're gonna have to blow up some mines along the way. So there's gonna be many failures along the way. But every time there's a failure, you know that is a spot that I shouldn't step in. Because there's a mine there. And you learn to craft your way and navigate through. That's the idea of how you want to look at failures. Failures are your things to avoid, and then learn from mentorships. What helped them succeed, what caused them to fail. Embrace failure, learn to love failure, and treat it like a game. Okay? Raise your hand if you've ever played video games. I don't know if it's a video game audience or not. Video games? Okay, about a quarter. Okay? So video games. Video games is a great analogy. If I'm playing a video game and I want to get to level 10, I've got to beat level 1. Now, what are the odds that I'm going to beat level 1 my very first time ever playing it? Pretty slim, right? I've got to learn, what does my character have to do when it's faced with this obstacle? I jump over it, boom, my character dies, he starts over. I try to go through it, boom, he dies, he starts over. I try to time it, eventually I go, oh, this thing's swinging or whatever, I've got to time it just right. I get through that obstacle. But that's only one obstacle out of like 5 that I have to beat on that level. And then finally I beat that level. It takes me several times that my character dies in order to beat it. Those are failures along the way. If I treat it like a game, and I know in advance I'm going to fail, then I'm going to go, oh, well, I failed, but I'm going to keep trying. Nope, that way didn't work, that way didn't work, that way, okay, let me try this way, oh, that way worked. And I beat the level. Now replace video games with Facebook ads. This one didn't work. Oh, hey, I'm starting to get this video views, but it's not converting into sales. Oh, hey, I'm starting to do this thing. Hey, I got to click on a link. I know it's the right direction. It says that I made money. I made a sale from my first ad. And replace it with everything else. Gamify it. Make it fun. But if you know you're going to fail, you might as well make the journey fun along the way. This is the key. Success leaves clues, and so do failures. If everybody that's successful has failed along the way, then you will fail along the way too. And suddenly failure is not a bad thing. Suddenly, me being a high school dropout, didn't become a bad thing. You know what it did? It trained me to be okay with failure and keep going. Does that make sense? Like, all these things that felt like failure, they just made me stronger and said, okay, I'm now not afraid of failure, which then allows me to take big risks that somebody else might not. Somebody who's maybe a straight A student in school has learned exactly what it takes to be able to get an A and is devastated if they don't get that A. So they're trained to be able to take very little risks and follow as much structure as possible to make sure that they accomplish that task to a level that they get an A. Versus for me, getting a D and going, oh, I got a D. It didn't work out as well for me, but now I'm not afraid of failing. I failed a class. I'm not afraid. So over time, I become less afraid of failure and I become okay with it. So now I'm willing to take a risk. Why? Because I might fail. But an A student might not be willing to take that risk because that risk means they might not get an A. It's too risky. It's not worth it. Whereas for me, it's like, I'm already failing. What worse could happen? Somebody came to me the other day and said, Chris, you just made all this money. You just made all these big investments. If it doesn't work, you're back at ground zero. You're back at level 1. I go, yeah. But top ramen still tastes good, so I'll be fine. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide. And by the way, I still would eat top ramen. I have no problem with that. Let me talk to you about a student mindset versus a teacher mindset. I touched on this yesterday. Several people in the hallways, this was one of their big questions to me. They said that analogy of the consumer hat versus the business hat was really helpful. So let me just touch on it real quick. What escalated my learning was knowing in advance that I had to teach it to you. When I read Hal Elrod's book on the Miracle Morning, he had an acronym called SAVERS. S-A-V-E-R-S. That acronym was silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing. Right? It was silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercising, reading, and scribing. It was silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing. When I read the book, I had to memorize that acronym and repeat it over and over and over to the point where I could say it anytime that I wanted to. Why? Because I knew I was going to teach it. When you put yourself and you put on your teacher mindset, when you know you have to turn around and teach something, your retention will go up dramatically. Dramatically. When I read a book every single day for 15 minutes, I turn around and say, I'm going to teach this principle today on social media or to whatever, to an event. Okay? I look at that and go, I'm going to teach this. This morning I was reading a book about Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. I was reading a book and then reading through about the whole change that McDonald's made about getting into the real estate business, starting out the shake business, the hamburger business, then moving to the real estate business, eventually becoming the largest real estate investment firm in the world now, Franchise Realty Corporation. And going through this process, I spent 10 minutes reading this morning, extracted the main nuts and bolts, and reviewed those over and over and over for about 5 minutes. In about 15 minutes of time, I've got the gist of that book, what it means, and I can instantly go out and start teaching it to people and sharing with them an inspiring story. I now have a story to be able to add to my speeches, or to my sales messages, or to anything that I want, or just to inspire somebody. If I'm talking to children, I'll be like, okay, you all know McDonald's, right? So what's your favorite thing at McDonald's? What's McDonald's most known for? I bet you don't know the real truth about McDonald's. McDonald's is actually in the real estate business, not the burger business. The idea is when you make yourself the teacher, you will learn so much better than when you're the student. When I used to just read books, about a month would go by or a year, and I would completely forgot what was in that book. What? I don't even remember half the books that I read. But now, I can go and I can remember the key points of all of these books because I go through the teacher mindset. So, what I challenge you to do is I challenge you to add a platform in your life where on a daily basis, you somehow teach somebody what you're learning every day. Learn something new and teach it every single day. On Sunday, you're going to hear about a new challenge that I'm doing that's called my Book a Day Challenge. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I'm going to share with you a challenge that we're doing with huge prizes and huge everything, and it's free to participate in, and it's going to be free. It's going to be a marketing material for you to also promote the college. By the way, it's going to be sort of a viral social media campaign that we're going to release, where we're going to get people out there in the world reading a book a day. Just going down to the library, checking out 5 books, reading those 5 books that week, and checking them back in. Borrowing books from a friend, going to Google and buying books for 30 cents. Or if they can afford it, go on Amazon Prime and get it 2 days later. You're going to read a book a day. The book a day challenge is going to be to read for at least 15 minutes, extract the knowledge, and then do a video where you're actually teaching what you learned in that book, and then you're going to submit your video to a website that's going to have all of that. And we're going to create a huge resource. We're going to create a movement that encourages reading and knowledge out there in the world. I'm going to share that with everybody. The reason behind this is because when you teach what you read in that book, you're now going to be reading a totally different way. Oh my gosh, I have to really learn this right now because I'm about to turn around and teach it. So you learn, but you can't learn the whole book. You can't memorize the whole book, but you can memorize a few key things. And when you start to learn like that, you learn way differently. Yesterday I taught Facebook ads. But most of you, probably 99% of you, are in a position like, I'm not ready to turn around and teach that. But if you knew on Monday, you had a special Google Hangout planned with 5 of your business-related friends where you were going to share with them what you learned about Facebook ads, you might have been like, you would have listened to that talk a little differently. Okay, Chris said about how many millions of people should be in the audience? Okay, roughly what were the big 5 countries that he did? What were the age demographic? Why was it again that men and women were popular? Maybe I talked for an hour, but you really got 10 key points. And then maybe you organize your 10 key points in a way to really easily share. Hey, here's the 10 big takeaways from Chris's Facebook ads talk. And then on Monday, you turn around and you teach. Here's the 5 key things of Facebook advertising that you can get started with as a beginner. And maybe it's your 5 friends you teach it to, or maybe you go live on Facebook, or maybe you go on Pinterest and you make a little infographic. Hey, here's 5 or 10 key things about Facebook advertising. Or maybe you create a lead capture page and say, who wants to know the 10 most basic things you need to know about Facebook advertising to make videos go viral? Opt in and I'll give you that. Somehow you're teaching. Whether it's in written form, whether it's in audio like a podcast or a recording, or whether it's in video form. You need to become the teacher if you truly want to learn something. My challenge to you is to take off your consumer hat where you're just sitting in a conference and having information thrown at you, and instead put on your teacher hat. We're just saying, you know what? I'm going to reorganize what, and he said in an hour, I'm going to reorganize like the main 10 points and figure out a way to disseminate this information to my audience, to my following in 10 minutes. And you will be looked at as somebody so helpful, so thankful, so inspiring. People say, I love what you do. What you shared with me yesterday helped so much, and you'll love it. Become a teacher, not just a student. Can you guys commit to that challenge? Okay, time to mix it up and do something completely different. We've been talking a little bit more about principles. Now I want to talk to you about how to take these principles and make them timeless for also daily activities in your life. So, let's go through a little exercise. How many people in this room, raise your hands, if in your possession, within, foot around you, so in your pockets, and your wallet, and your purse, your backpack, whatever, if you have an actual business card with your contact information on it in your possession, raise your hand, okay? So it's hard for me to see the back row, so about 50%? Okay, you have a business card, so let's talk about business cards. Again, this is a principle, same kind of concept. If you hand out 100 business cards at an event like this, how many incoming calls will you get when you sit by your phone on Monday? 0. 1. 0? Not even 1? Maybe. So listen. So why do we invest all this money in business cards if we all pretty much know, we hand them out and barely anyone ever, the percentage of people, the conversion rate of hand to call is like so low, if it was an advertising campaign, you'd kill it. If you would. If you're like literally, if you're studying the metrics, you're like, I purchased 1,000 business cards, I got 2 calls, neither of them were, so we all know that. Why do we carry business cards with us? Why do we carry? Chime in. Why do we carry business cards with us?
Professionalism.
To exchange both ways. So 2 ways. We carry business cards so we can get theirs. Okay, convenience. How is it convenient to have a business card? Isn't it inconvenient? I have to have a business card holder. I've got to have a case. How can I carry 100 business cards or hundreds of business cards for everybody? It's less convenient to have a business card, but let's just say you have a business card. Maybe you're saying convenience in terms of, oh, take down my information. Okay, write down my email, whatever. I can get that. Make yourself feel good. I'm an expert. See? Proof that I'm an expert right here on this business card. Not everybody has one. This was hard to obtain.
Professionalism.
Professionalism. So instead of, hi, my name is Chris Record. I am the CEO of this company. There you go. Okay, so why do we create business cards? Essentially, because it is this old way of communication that we've just always known. Now, I want to talk to you about coming into the revolution of the future. So I added the word digital to it. There's no reason that we have to carry physical business cards anymore. In fact, if you do, I don't know if some of you guys saw like a Snapchat, stuff like that. I gave out a bunch of them. I literally created a business card that just had a scannable icon on it with no contact information, no phone number, no email, no nothing. It was a business card that said, just scan this and follow me on Snapchat. They're like, well, how do I communicate with you? Just scan this. All right? It was fun. I just did because I didn't want people contacting me. Digital. I'm going to give you a tip. I won't answer. I won't answer my phone. So I'm going to give you a tip for a digital business card. I wonder if I have a phone up here. Nope. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and illustrate. Raise your hand if you have a smartphone in your pocket. A smartphone. Look at that. 90% of the audience. Raise your hand again if your smartphone has a memo pad on it. Some sort of a notepad, like a built-in native one. Okay, let's go through an exercise. Pull out your smartphone. Pull open your memo pad. We're going to do this right now. Pull out your smartphone, pull out your memo pad, open up like where you take notes. I have an iPhone, it's just the default little yellow notes memo pad on it. Okay, in that notepad, here's what I want you to write. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, the first line is the title of your business card. Essentially, when you send them this thing, I'm going to show you this, is the title of what they see first. Kind of like the subject line of an email. So, the subject line would be something like, the first line you should write is, it was great meeting you at Chris Record's conference in Arizona last week. Something like that. Just write out something like that. What is the first, imagine it was a subject line of an email. That's it. It was great meeting you at Chris Record's conference in Arizona last week. Or you might put RE : follow up from meeting you at Chris Record's conference. Whatever it might be. Like an email, like a title that if somebody sent you that as like an email that you'd open it. You'd feel like it's relevant to you. Yes, I was at Chris Record's conference. Yes, I met this person. After you write that title, go down a couple lines. Do a couple line spaces. Okay, after you write that title, a couple lines, now you're writing as if it were like an email body of your digital business card. We're going to keep it very short because this is a live experiment. And just say something simple like, hi, then your name. Hi, it's Chris Record, or whatever your name is. Hi, it's Chris Record. It was a pleasure meeting you this past weekend. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. Okay, something like that. Hi, it's Bob Jones. I'm really glad we had a chance to be able to meet. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. Something like that. Very short, brief sentence. Something that basically introduces yourself, your name, and reminds them that they met you at this conference. And then go down a couple more lines. So you got your title, you've got your little intro statement, and then a couple more lines that go, I'm just going to keep this one real simple. Here is my contact information. Here's the best way that you can reach me. And then throw like your phone number or your email there. Something like that. This is in your notepad. This is in your memo pad. So when you're done, it should look something like this. Subject line, quick little intro statement to remind them you met. And the third part is going to be some contact information from you. Now, an optional fourth part can be a call to action of something. That can be optional. Do you have something for free that you can give away? Do you have something you'd like them to look at? Do you have a YouTube video? Do you have something you would like somebody's first impression to be? So I might say something like, for the call to action, I might say something like, here's a link to my Facebook advertising course that you can have it for free. Because we met, you can have it for free. Here's a link. So now I've got an in-person resource, right? Some sort of, you can add a call to action. It's fully optional. Version 1 is just, hey, it's a pleasure meeting you. Here's my contact information. Let's stay in touch. Version 2 could be like, pleasure meeting you. Here's my contact information. And here is a copy of my Facebook advertising course for free. Normally $100, but you can have it for free because we had a chance to meet in person. Link. The last thing you put at the bottom, or even at the top, somewhere in that notepad, put the words, please reply to this so I know you received it and so that I have your contact information on file. Would you mind, you could say, would you take a second, please reply to this. Say something like that, please reply to this. Now, while you're typing that out on your phone, and this is just an exercise so you don't have to do it perfect, you can fix it later. Essentially, here's what you have. You have a subject line, you have a quick little statement that says we met, you've got your contact information, maybe a call to action, and you have a very specific thing. Can you please reply so I have your contact information? These 5 points of a digital business card are the essentials. From there, you can make it as long as you want. Okay? Now, let me give an example. Did anybody do this that has, let's say, near the front row? Does anybody have an iPhone that did this right now that you want to share? Okay, your hand was up first. Can you read what yours says? Would you mind? Okay, can you just read it and then I'll repeat it up there. Okay, let's start right there. Hi, it was Jeff Lutton. It was a pleasure meeting with you and networking with you. Continue. Here's the best way to reach me, my cell number. Please reply to this so I know I got your message. Thank you. Okay, you're on an iPhone, and that's your notepad. Okay, that's your notepad. So press save, or done or save, or whatever it says it there. So now you have a saved notepad, right? Okay, now hold it up to me, right there. On that screen, let me come down and actually show you, because I don't have this illustration. So on the screen, we're gonna have you guys do it at home. See, there's a little, I don't know if they can see it there. Don't worry about it. There's a little icon up here on the top right. Just like that icon. You press the little icon to share this note. You have the option to text message it to me. You have the option to email it to me. Let's choose that email option. Okay? Let's choose that email option. I'm going to give you one of my marketing emails to be able to send that to you. Cashflowchampion@gmail.com. How's that for an affirmation email? Cashflowchampion@gmail.com. You just make sure it's about cashflowchampion. Now, before you press send, cashflowchampion. Anybody that wants to just mess around and send me that to that email address, you're fine. If you want to practice on yours, press on your notepad, find a button where you can share, save your note, find a button on there where you can share your note with an email, and share it to yourself or share it to me or whatever. Cashflowchampion@gmail.com, you can share it. So you're respelling it because you spelled it wrong. Got it. So what I want to do is, depending on how you have this set up, you can basically send this note immediately. Now, you can set it up, and I'm not going to spend too much more time on this because this is the whole point of stop. You can set it up on your phone so that literally, watch what happens. I'm just going to press send so I get it. Okay. And you can set it up, I can do one more thing right there to set it up. You can set it up where the first line of your email and your note is automatically turned into your subject line. For many of you, it's going to default like that. And if not, you can set it up that way. The first line will actually turn into an email subject. What he just did was he just emailed me his contact information. Let me ask you a question. If you received 100 business cards this weekend, are you more likely to respond to those 100 business cards or whatever, one of them, 0 of them, or if you received several email responses from people emailing you, reaching out, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you, are you more likely to open that email, or are you more likely to sit there with that business card on Monday and call that business card back?
Email.
Which one do you think is more effective, email or business card?
Email.
Now, not only this, if you have a good call to action and you get good at your copywriting, it's also easy to be able to say, oh yes, it was a pleasure meeting. Now, get this out. If you go to a networking event, and there's 50 people in there and everybody's handing out cards, if you do this digital business card, here's what you do. So it's Jeff, right? So we get to a point where we got to exchange cards. You say, here's my card. Now here's the thing. I always like getting other people's cards. When you get a card, you're actually in control. There's nothing wrong with receiving a card from somebody. If I want to call them, I can. If I don't, I don't. I don't mind that. But here's what I'll do. Jeff's going to ask for my card. So you go ahead and feel free to ask me for my card. Yeah, you know, I actually use a digital business card. I'm calling my phone. So, what's the best email address to send it to? Jeff, send. All right, it's sitting right now in your email box. It's a pleasure meeting you. If you could just take a minute and respond to that. Also, I have a Facebook advertising course, only $100. I just have a link to you. You can get it for free. That's in there. Feel free to try it out. Let me know if you like it. Who thinks that's more effective than doing that? Why is this important? Because if we show you all how to be affiliates for this internet marketing project that we are launching, a school where people can learn all these techniques, you have the ability to be able to create a digital business card, practice with your friends, go to a marketing event, and be able to literally get 50 emails, addresses from people, send out your digital business card to 50 people. You're probably going to get 25, 30, 40 responses back. You're going to be able to get people to opt in, and I can show you how to take those email addresses you collected, add them to a list, and now they're automatically on an autoresponder, receiving all of your notifications. Like, let's be honest, it's 2016, it's getting ready to be 2017. Stand out. When you go to a networking event, stand out, have something different. You don't need an app where somebody else has to have the same app. Oh, do you have something app? We touch our phones or whatever. No, what's your email address? I want your email address, you know? What's your email address? Let me do this, boom. That's all that this is. It's super simple. It's thinking outside the box. It's getting creative. It's being effective. It's being productive. Who here's excited to be an affiliate of our school of TECademics Aug? These techniques work. It's one extra second. You never have to order business cards again. And what are you more likely to have in your pocket? A smartphone or a set of business cards? Your phone! Your phone! Your phone. I read a study, I don't know, you never know if studies are real or not, but I read a study that literally, this is a crazy study. You guys ready for it? I don't know if I can't verify it's real, but I read this study yesterday. It was fascinating. And I'm about to call out the actual audience on the spot with this. I can find the document, maybe share it on Facebook or something. They did a study of like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, whatever. It was all men, and it was like college age, I guess. I don't have all the details. They asked, one of the questions, how many of you have ever used your smartphone in the shower? And it was like over 50, 60%. Okay? They're not bringing their business cards in the shower, okay? Their smartphone lives with them. Everybody's on their smartphone. You know, they're catching Pokemon in the shower. They probably were using it for something else in the shower. But seriously, people, it's an addiction. It's what it is. Okay? When people are addicted to something, you can either hate it, or you can go, if everybody's addicted to this thing, they're all on their phones anyways, why don't I put my message right in front of them where they already are? That's the key to success here. Just curious. Who's gutsy enough? Has anybody in here ever brought their phone in the shower with them? I'm just curious. Gutsy. There's like 30, 40 people.